Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel and welcome back to another episode of Finance Friday. I'm very happy to have you guys on here. I am really excited about today's topic and today's conversation. Now, if you've been on this channel long enough, you've heard me talk about unit trusts like money market funds. You've heard me talk about treasury bills and bonds. You've heard me talk about the stock market. You've heard me talking about SACCOs and quite a number of investments pretty much in the financial markets. But I'm pretty sure on this channel, I have not done a video on REITs, the real estate investment trust. And that is what today's episode is all about. I'm very curious as to how many of us know what real estate investment trusts are. I don't know how many of us have seen or heard about them. And I'm just curious to know, and maybe you guys can let me know in the comment section, what do you know about real estate investment trust? I'm very excited about it because on this channel, we talk quite a bit, and you guys know my stand and my opinion on buying idle pieces of land. And I see quite a number of you guys asking me, Coach, okay, fine, I don't buy an idle piece of land. What is my other alternative? And today, I want to talk to you guys about another alternative to investing in real estate, which is real estate investment trust. So if you want to find out more about the REITs and how you can invest in them and how they are so very accessible even to a low income earner, please stick around. So without further ado, let's get straight into it. Obviously, the first thing we need to do is to understand what real estate investment trusts are. And for the purposes of shortening how many words I have to use, we are just going to call them REITs. Okay? So REITs are pretty much collective investment schemes where a fund manager or a company or a firm pulls money from different investors, and then that money is invested in a real estate project. Okay? I want to take you guys back to when I first did a video on money market funds, and I'm going to link it down below. Okay? And as I've been explaining what money market funds are, we said that money market funds fall under a bigger umbrella called unit trusts, for example, where they pull money from different investors and invest that money on your behalf. So the money is invested like in bank deposits, treasury bills, treasury bonds, and all of that. Okay? So REITs pretty much almost work like in the same way, in the sense that they're also collective investments. So in other words, they have Wanjiko's money, Jerry's money, Karanja's money, 100,000, maybe even more, other Kenyans' money. And then the people who've invested in that particular project or that particular REIT, that money is pooled. That's why it's called a collective investment scheme. It's pooled and then it is invested in real estate project. Now, for the investors of that real estate project, as the project generates income, they are also able to benefit in the form of dividends and capital gains from the project. So it's almost like you've invested in a real estate project, but without like the headache of you're the one who's buying the land and building and dealing with tenants, but you're pretty much earning from already established and lucrative real estate projects. Isn't that exciting, guys? Maybe just to get it out of the way, of course, real estate investment trusts, the REITs are regulated by the Capital Markets Authority. So that is always a grounding rule as we've been talking about investments on this channel. So you want to also ensure that when you're actually investing in a REIT, you're investing in one that is actually licensed and regulated by the Capital Markets Authority. Why this is so important is because me and my friends can just decide to start, me and my millionaire friends or my billionaire friends can decide to start a project, right? And have people invest in the project, and then we can paper with your money, which is why I'm saying just because people have come together and they've started a project and they're asking people to invest does not automatically make it like a credible real estate investment trust. You want to ensure that for credibility purposes and for the safety of your funds and the future of your wealth, you've actually worked with a licensed real estate investment trust, and the licensing body here is the Capital Markets Authority. So now that we have understood what REITs are, the second question I want us to answer is, how exactly do you actually make money with REITs? Now, when you actually invest in a real estate investment trust, you're pretty much doing like you're buying into the ownership of that project. So you're buying either units, we usually call them units. So you're buying units or like shares in that particular project. And if you know how shares work, for example, you do know that in a share kind of like agreement, what happens is that the company you've invested in, for example, as it makes profits, it shares those profits with the investors, or rather the unit holders or the shareholders. And that is usually done either semi-annually or even annually. So every year that the company is profitable, they've been able to generate income, then they share that income with their investors. So with real estate investment trust, it is the same. So this company X has invested in a particular real estate project. They have, let's say, apartments or houses or commercial buildings, and those buildings are generating rental income all year, whether that is rental income or leases, but they have occupancy, so they are generating income. Now, at the very end of the year or maybe mid-year, they calculate the profits, and obviously after all obligations have been deducted, those profits are actually shared with the investors. And that is pretty much how you can begin to make money in real estate passively, right? Now, active real estate and passive real estate, this is the difference. With active, I've bought a piece of land, built the property myself, dealt with the whole process, and then now I'm like collecting, rent and all of that. But, you've actually done the thing, the whole process actively. But I love REITs because it is a very, very good way to still have some portfolio in real estate, but it's almost passive. You're earning money simply because you invested in an already established real estate project. So other people worried about the logistics. This is just a building or buildings. They're already income generating. So you don't even have to wait for them to, you don't have to give them leeway, for 7 years or 10 years or however long for the real estate project to actually start generating income. Most real estate investment trusts actually are structured in such a way that the property or the project itself is already income generating. So you're just investing. As an investor, you're able to begin earning from it. And this is why you earn money in two ways in REITs, okay? So the first way you earn money is dividends. As I said, when the company makes profits, it shares those profits with its investors on a semi-annual basis or an annual basis, all right? And then the second way that you make money is through what we call capital gains. Now, what is a capital gain? As I told you guys, when you're investing in a real estate investment trust, you're pretty much like buying a share in that particular project. So let us assume that at the point you bought the share, you bought it at, let's say, 19 bob per share. And maybe 2 or 3 years later, 5 years later, the share price has increased from 19 shillings per share or per unit to 25 shillings per share or per unit. By merit of the fact that the price per unit has increased, your capital has gained. In other words, let's assume someone bought at, let's even say 1 million units, right? So you had, you bought 1 million units at 19 shillings. So that means like pretty much the value of your portfolio then was 19 million. Now, if the share price or the unit price goes up to 23 shillings or 25 shillings, then the value of your portfolio has increased from the 19 million to the 25 million. And that is what we call a capital gain. So those are the two ways in which you make money in a real estate investment trust, through dividends and through capital gains. So at this point, you're probably wondering, Coach Susan, why would I pick a real estate investment trust that belongs to another company the property is owned by someone else and I'm pretty much just a beneficiary because I'm an investor. Why would you choose a REIT as opposed to just buying your own land, developing it, and just owning it and benefiting from it yourself? So I want to just take a few moments here to tell you why I think you guys should pay attention to what is happening in the financial markets with regards to real estate investment trust, because I genuinely feel like a lot of, even especially for people here in Kenya, we could very much benefit from a real estate investment trust. So I want to talk about a number of reasons why you should consider real estate investment trust and the benefits that it comes with, the benefits that REITs come with. So the first reason you should consider real estate investment trust is diversification. You guys know that every time we talk about investments on this channel, one of the things that I keep highlighting is the importance of you guys not putting all your eggs in one basket. All right? You want to think big. You want to think, now that I have done money market funds. And for some of you, because we talk on email and we've been interacting, some of you guys are doing so well. You have your money market funds, you have your bonds in place, you have your circle working for you. And I've actually been noticing that for so many of us, that's all we have. So all your investments are pretty much are in the financial markets, like in that, what we call the three major assets. Let me educate you real quick. So we have three major financial assets in financial markets. We have what we call cash and cash equivalents. Okay, so that is your cash in the money in the bank, your mobile money, even money market funds. Pretty much any money that you have that is liquid and short term is what we refer to as cash and equivalents and cash equivalents. And then we have a second asset, the second asset class, which is fixed income assets. And fixed income assets are pretty much like your bonds. Why we call them fixed income assets is because you'll find most bonds have a fixed duration of time, maybe a 7-year bond, a 10-year bond that is 12% per annum or 15% per annum. So it's like you have a fixed interest rate and a fixed schedule of payment, which is semi-annually. So we have those. And then finally we have equities, and equities pretty much are the stock market. So now you're smart, okay? We have those three major asset classes, but that doesn't mean we don't have others. Those are the three major ones, but we have now what we call alternative investments, okay? So these are your cryptocurrencies, your real estate, and all of that. So real estate investment trusts are an amazing way to diversify your portfolio outside of the three major asset classes, because you want to ensure that after I have my cash and I have my bonds, and maybe you're someone who is trying to actually get into real estate, and you're trying to maybe avoid some of the mistakes that some of us have made, or people we've had have made. We think that the only way we can get into real estate is to buy property. So you buy land that you will not develop in 7 years because there's no money to develop that land in 7 years. So in other words, REITs are just a beautiful alternative for you to be able to still have your money invested in real estate. But here's the catch, guys. You're investing in real estate, but in an income generating manner, not in a way that is going to tie up your capital for years, but in a way that is actually going to generate income on an annual basis through the dividends and the capital gains. All right. Now, the other benefit of investing is in the real estate investment trust, which for me, I believe is one of my favorites, is the ability to liquidate that investment in comparison to buying land. Now, if you are watching me right now and you've ever tried to sell a property or to sell a piece of land, you know the headache. So many of us, obviously because of maybe like a lack of financial literacy, or you didn't know any better, or maybe you just did the best that you could with what you had at the time, we come to a place where we need cash or we need cash flow. And because we need cash flow, we remember, I have that land in Nanyuki, or I have that land in Kilifi. Let me now start, let's say, trying to find a buyer. If you've ever started such a process or you've talked to someone who has started such a process, you know that it is not the easiest. You could wait months, if not years, to be able to dispose of a property, which is why that kind of real estate investing, we term it as quite illiquid. If you need the money immediately, honestly, it's going to take you a while. So what I love about real estate investment trust, as long as you have invested, especially in these very well structured, licensed and regulated companies, and I'm actually gonna, plug you guys onto one of my favorite real estate investment trusts here in Kenya. You should be able, most of them have like a trading cycle or, that is almost monthly. So let's say today you're like, I'm done, I want my money back. And you send in a withdrawal request. Pretty much what you're saying is that I know I bought these units, but I want to sell them back. Most real estate investment trusts have that trading cycle that is usually monthly. So you can actually sell back your units at the prevailing market price, right? And then recover or regain back your money. So I love that aspect of liquidity. It's amazing, really, when you think about it, because it's like investing in real estate, but you can liquidate, within a month or two. In a worst case scenario, the only time that you wouldn't be able to recover your money is when the public generally, in the public, no one is actually buying units, or rather no one is investing in that real estate investment trust anymore, which is really rare if you're working with a lucrative project or a lucrative real estate investment trust, because as per usual, just like in the stock market, every day and every month, there are people buying and there are people selling. So that allows that liquidity to be able to be accessed. All right. The other benefit that I really, really love about real estate investment trust is the tax benefits that come with it. Now, you guys know, especially here in Kenya, my God, we are suffering. Taxes, unfortunately, I mean, I've even seen the recent finance bill doing rounds. And one of our favorite investments, the infrastructural bond that was not subject to tax, now there is a proposal that it be taxed, maybe 5% withholding tax. So we used to love the infrastructural bond because all the money that you're making there is yours to keep, right? But then if this proposed aspect in the finance bill goes through, we are now going to start paying taxes on the infrastructural bond. And it was like one of the only investments here in Kenya that had very lucrative tax benefits. But back to real estate investment trust, there are also tax benefits. Other than the withholding tax, you will find that rates are pretty much exempt from things like income tax. They're exempt from stamp duty and even value-added tax and even capital gains tax. Now, again, if you are an investor in real estate, if you've tried to buy land and you're trying to get your title deed, you have to pay stamp duty, right? So all of these things are just because it is, you avoid all of those taxes as a real estate investor, because in real estate investment trusts, I mean, even the capital gains themselves are tax exempt. Stamp duty is tax exempt. You only get to pay taxes on your dividend income, which is what we usually call the withholding tax, and that's usually 5% of the income or the dividends that you have received on that year or on an annual basis. So I love the tax advantage of this. If I'm to maybe, let's say, compare this with money market funds, for instance, of course, they both serve different purposes, but like in money market funds, your investment returns are taxed at 15% withholding tax. Most treasury bills and bonds that are not infrastructural are taxed at the same, 10 to 15% withholding tax. So that's how they compare with other investments. So that is also an added advantage. The other really, really good thing I love about real estate investment trust, and honestly, this is so close to my heart, because you guys know I'm very big on baby steps, and common wananchi, being able to invest in something. So I love that this fourth benefit is the fact that we are able to overcome the real estate entry barrier. For the longest time, guys, real estate has been known to be a rich man's endeavor, right? Tuseme tu kweli. Because unlike even me with my low incomeness or my middle incomeness, sometimes the most you can actually afford to do is take out a loan from your bank or even take out a loan from your SACCO and buy the land and keep it. But most of us, the idea of developing that land, putting up a building, a rental, Airbnb, whatever it is, a restaurant, the idea of developing that property, it's so intimidating, right? Like you're thinking, where am I going to get 10 million, 5 million, 15, heck, maybe even more to develop this piece of land so that you can make the piece of land income generating? Because remember, guys, we said, what is an investment? Real estate becomes an investment when that property, that piece of land starts giving you back money. All right? You earn from it, whether that's monthly, quarterly, annually, but you're earning from it. So the problem that we have, and especially like in our cultures, Kenyans and maybe even Africans, I don't know, it's we do have these pieces of land, but they're non-income generating, and yet we have such intense cash flow needs on every month, right? So you see, the barrier to entry in real estate is that for most of us, beyond buying the piece of property, there is no money to develop and to grow. So it takes you years, if not decades, to actually have an income generating real estate asset. And this is really, guys, what I love about real estate investment trusts, because you're able to overcome that barrier to entry. You don't need millions. You don't need hundreds of thousands. You don't need a lot of money to enter. And why this is so close to my heart is because too many people are not investing because they are waiting to get enough money. And as I've shared with you guys in my own personal journey, since 2019, 2020, thereabout, after I lost my job, I came to myself and I decided, you know what? I need to stop waiting for big money for me to start saving and investing. I started with money market funds that would allow me to invest with as little as 2,000 bob, 5,000 shillings, 1,000 bob for top-ups. And I love that for, for my viewers, because I need you guys to realize that you don't have to wait to be able to become an investor. If you can just afford 5,000, 10,000 shillings, maybe even 2,500, however much, you can actually be able to begin investing in real estate investment trusts. Because like one of my favorite, and at this point, I'd really like to just go straight to it and give you, or rather plug you guys onto what Vuka is doing. So I don't know if you've heard about Vuka, but Vuka is a product by Akon, the Akon Student Accommodation Investment Rate. I don't know if you guys, especially the people who live in Nairobi, when you drive around Nairobi, you should be able to see some buildings labeled Kwetu. We have quite a bit. We have one here in USIU. We have another one on, I think, along Outer Ring Road. We have quite a number of Kwetu buildings. That project is a student accommodation project by Akon Investment Management Company. And I love what Vuka have done with this product or with this project, because like at this particular point as we speak, the 1 unit price in Vuka is around, I believe, maybe 22 shillings per unit, right? So if you want to buy the bare minimum amount of units or shares, which is like 100 of them, that is 100 times 22 shillings or 23 shillings. So we are talking around 2,200 or 2,300 shillings, right? And at that entry point, I know it is so little and it is such a baby step, but imagine committing funds, maybe 5,000 every month or 10,000 every month or however much. For me, it is the fact that as a low income earner or as a middle income earner, if you can just sacrifice maybe 5,000 bob or 10,000 bob every month, you're actually able to become a member of the Vuka investment, or rather the Vuka student accommodation income rate. And as long as Vuka continues to do this project, and this is student accommodation, of course, a very lucrative real estate business, because you're actually able to get tenants. And as long as students are taking up accommodation, and these buildings are very strategically positioned in places that actually have schools and students, that is income. And what Vuka have actually done with the Econ student accommodation REIT is that they are allowing retail investors, in other words, me and you, mwananchi mdogo, to be able to become members and to participate in this income generating real estate project from as little as you guys can see, below 5,000 Kenya shillings. And as you keep topping up and growing your ownership into the project and buying as many units as possible. And as I said, like right now, the units are maybe like 22 bob per unit. You're already an investor, and you're investing in an income generating real estate project that will pay you dividends every year, semi-annually, right? So it's very, very important to stay woke and just be aware that we have some of these projects and they're doing very, very well. Now, of course, one of the things that I probably need to define is what an income rate is. It's labeled as an I rate. And in an income rate, so that you can understand even how exactly are Vuka making me money, or how exactly is this Econ student accommodation project making me money. What happens with this income rate is that the company uses investor money. So me as an investor, you as an investor, the retail investors who have invested in the project, the company is going to uses this money to acquire already developed pieces of real estate projects. Okay, so this is a developed and a complete real estate asset. In other words, it is ready to start ching ching. It's ready to start generating income, because we said that, remember, the goal is you want to own income generating real estate assets. Okay, so that investor money is actually what is used to acquire this already complete and developed real estate assets. And then, of course, the team handles everything from leasing and renting and all of that. And because these are already ready units that students can actually or rather occupy, this is already income generated. So as long as they keep collecting the rent and all of that and making income through this project, all the investors of the project benefit through the dividends that are paid out during the year from the company's profits. Now, there's something that caught my attention as I just did more of my research and read more about this that really, really excited me. By law, okay, so remember we said that CMA regulates the real estate investment trust. By law, real estate investment trusts are required to pay at least 80% of their proceeds as dividends to the investors. So even the way it is structured, because majority of the real estate investment trust money comes from these investors, which is you and I, right? You're able to, they're required by law to actually pay these dividends back. So, the way you could be worried, is it always a guarantee that I'm going to get paid dividends? I think because of that regulation put by the law, then it almost goes without saying that as long as the product is it's credible, it's income generating, you are guaranteed of getting your income or rather your dividends every year. Something I also learned as I did my research is that with the real estate investment trust, you also kind of like get to invest in what we call insurance-backed assets. Most of these people, they're not just putting up buildings for Wanjiko and Joroge. No, they are insurance-backed assets who have trustees and all of that. So you find that a lot of the risks that you could face, like, acts of God or something of the sort, they are actually mitigated against because these assets are insurance-backed. They have trustees, it's a very well-run and legally legit process. as opposed to when Wanjikos like myself and me and my billionaire friends have just, structured something that doesn't have legal backing. So that is also something I really, really loved. So if you are curious to find out more about Vuka and this amazing investment product, the Acorn Student Accommodation Income Rate, please click the link on the description box. I'm going to leave a link where you guys can join the Vuka investment community. I've also taught you guys to do due diligence. So in case you have additional and follow-up questions, I'm also going to leave their email linked down below so that you can answer all of you can ask all of the questions that you have, and I'm pretty sure the Vuka team is going to respond. I believe even in the comment section, if you drop any follow-up questions that you might have, we'd be happy to actually answer them. All right. Maybe one disclaimer that I need to put out. When you do click the link in the description box to join the Vuka investment community, there is a one-off registration fee of 299 Kenya shillings, 299 Kenya shillings. So it is not a scam. I'm actually mentioning it right now. It's just a one-off joining fee. And I'm actually just going to put up an image right now on the screen to just explain the joining fee. I'm going to leave it here. As you guys can see, there are different joining fees depending on the amount of money that you are investing and the different benefits that come with it. As you can see, there is actually no, rates for transactions or whatever, especially if you're already a member. The transaction rate for buying, that is, which is investing. And then, of course, you can also see on the table, there is no, the transaction fees for selling, which is now giving up your units or withdrawing your money, is around 1%. So that is very, very important for us to actually note down, just in case you will click the link and wonder, why am I paying 299, for example? You are actually going to see exactly what that is about, as you can see on this table. So please join Vuka so that you can start benefiting, all right, from actual income generating real estate assets. Now, finally, this is very, very important for me to mention in conclusion, all right? The fact that it is a real estate investment trust does not change that this is still a very medium to long-term kind of an investment, which brings me to point number 4 today, how you can best utilize this investment. Because different investment work in different ways. I don't want you to invest in a real estate investment trust thinking that this is just your typical money market fund where you top up and withdraw at any time. So to best utilize this investment, you need to do 2 things. Number 1, have a long-term investment horizon. Anyone who's doing anything real estate will tell you real estate makes a lot of sense in the long term, medium to long term. I mean, even if you are just doing this project by yourself, for you to actually be able to enjoy income and to, see the growth of the capital, or rather the capital gains of the investment, you'd have to give it time. So I usually recommend that for real estate investment trusts, please invest for a minimum of at least 3 to 5 years, all right, consistently, before you can also begin to actually experience and enjoy the return of the investments, and for you to actually start seeing some traction in terms of the dividends that you are getting. And then number 2, the first one, as I said, is investment horizon. It's still have a long-term mindset. And then number 2, please invest regularly, especially if you've not started with billions. I told you guys that I'm very, very big on us guys doing baby steps. So obviously, don't just put your 5,000 and leave it there, and then you're coming to complain later, oh, I only got dividends for 5 bob. Obviously, what do you expect when you have only invested 2,500 shillings? So you want to make it a habit, a lifestyle, to, in other words, invest regularly so that you can grow your portfolio. The more units you own, the more dividends you earn, the more you realize capital gain. So please be a consistent investor. That way you are actually able to, because remember, the goal is to earn, or rather to own so much of this project. When you look at people who own shares in big and credible companies or projects that, we know the who's and who's own this company or own this project. It's because they hold such a big amount of units or shares in that particular company. So they're able to also enjoy very good dividends as well as capital gains as the project keeps growing and increasing. All right. So please let me know if this episode was insightful and helpful. I know this is probably new to quite a number of us, so the comment section is open. Please ensure you ask as many questions as possible. I'm going to try see if I can get the team at Vuka to lend us someone who will help us answer the questions that you're going to drop in the comment section. And please remember, join the Vuka investment community today by clicking the link in the description box. So I'm very happy to have had you join me in today's episode. Please share this video with your friends so that they can know all about real estate investment trusts. And also turn on the notification bell and subscribe to this channel so that you can be notified every time I upload a new video. Again, thank you so much for watching today's episode, and I'd like to give a special shout out to the team at Vuka for sponsoring today's episode. Till next week, stay safe.